Okay, awesome. Yay. Okay, guys, I am so excited today. So, if you've been following our group for a while, you know that I used to be really big into doing different interviews and doing these kind of calls. And, we moved and life just kind of got in the way. And I want to get back into that. And so, you guys know that I've always been very transparent in our journey and different things in our life, health, wellness, relationship, everything. And so today's guest came to us through a referral, through some friends. And Mike and I scheduled some calls with her. We scheduled like some couple sessions. And then we were doing some individual calls. Kaylee's done some calls. And after we did a few sessions with her, I was like, you know what? I told her about our group and said we need to do some kind of interview and just talk about this and share her what she does, share what she does with you guys, because it is so amazing and it's had such an amazing effect on us and our lives already in such a short time period. So that's where we're at today. I'm so excited for you guys to meet my new friend Wendy, and I'm going to let her tell her story and describe what she does, because she'll do that way better than I do. But she works in the field of vibrational energy. So she can translate the language of energy into words. I will say I'll let her explain, what she does and give her story. But just the communication piece, and I don't know if you guys can hear this. We have some kids losing their mind down there. If you can hear it, I am so sorry. If you can't, good. But just for Mike and I, it's been, relationships with anyone are tough, with your kids, with yourself, with your spouse, and communication can be tough, even for the best, communicators or the people that work really hard at it. And so you've been such a blessing for us, just helping us to read each other better and understand each other better and communicate a little better. So I'll get deeper into that and share some more of our personal experience once you kind of share your story. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Brandy, so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be here today, and the impact that you're speaking of, I have also really felt it just in the short time that we've been working together, which is really the key to the whole thing, is just feeling into your own body. So everyone is really wired this way. It's just that life gets busy and we have a tendency to just keep moving, and we forget to just really check in to what we're feeling and why. Most of what drives us is not what's happening in the moment. So we're sometimes reminded of an experience. Some people call it triggered, or some people call it a pattern, but it's really just this memory that gets brought up by something someone says, even by like a sensory kind of thing, a smell, a sound, and it puts us back into a time when we're reacting from that time rather than responding in the present moment. And when you just connect to your breath and to one another and feel into what's going on, what most people begin to realize is that they're more united than apart. They're kind of saying and feeling the same things, just coming at it from two different perspectives, based on your own past. And then if you're masculine or if you're feminine, you have a different way of processing information, right from the get-go. So for me, this was always part of my life naturally. Like I just sort of could always feel underneath what people were saying, and it was always very confusing to me why people weren't really saying what they felt and meant. It's like, what, that's, so as I started tuning into the language of that, and then I had several experiences in my own life where really trusting that literally saved my own life, that I really was pretty much called to an entire career change, first stepping out of the corporate world and doing this work with individuals, and then kind of going back into the corporate world and helping corporations in team and group dynamics. And then working one-on-one, people who would meet me in that situation would say, hey, can you help me with my own personal goals, or can you help my family with this challenge? And so now it's really interesting in how it's bridged the gap between the corporate world and working with individuals. And it's very rewarding to watch people just sink into themselves, Like that's really what happens, is they just have a deeper understanding of themselves first, and then everything in their life changes because they know how to use their innate gifts and their innate energy to create what they want instead of what they don't want. So it's beautiful to watch.
That's awesome. And that's so, you talked about the masculine and the feminine energy. And that's one thing, like I said, we've been doing some couples sessions with her. And, if you know Mike and I well, we're huge on personal development. We take couples courses. We, read devotionals together and pray together. And we do all that, but we still have this like disconnect, and we still had these like reoccurring fights that kept happening. We talked about that on last night's call. We like went through these peaks and valleys, and they were almost like cyclical. Like you could set a timer to them. And Wendy helped us understand that it was, I guess maybe you could describe it better than me, but it was like our masculine and our feminine energies were off. And so we weren't like matching each other or feeding into each other's energies properly. So you're helping us to kind of like work on our own energies and then help feed off each other's, if you want to maybe say that in a better way than I did.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And what I love about it's in the moment, you can feel the difference. And it's interesting because we're on the phone, so I'm not even seeing you both, and you're not seeing me, but you can both feel into when the energy works the way you want it to versus when you don't. When you sort of sink in and surrender into your feminine and your whole nervous system relaxes, and then he has a tendency to sort of step more into his masculine power and really like let you know he's got you, and how that changes everything. Like your whole energy just relaxes into that space, and then he can have that role that he wants too. So it's very, once you start to feel into that and you understand the parts of it that, and this is in no way like stereotypical or sexist or any of that. Everyone is their own unique person, and that's a really important starting point, right? We all have our own unique fingerprint for a reason, and we are meant to express those God-given gifts in the world. So this is, everyone is unique unto themselves, and then there are some certain principles that are just innate to masculine or feminine, and each of us have some traits of both, but we want to lead with our innate gifts always. And when we feel those, when we feel embodied in them, we have more energy, we have more space to be patient with people and to really respond and to just really sink into what are they saying to us really? What are they really needing right now? And once you begin to understand that and embody that, everything shifts. And last night you both saw, even just with your breath, how you breathe together, how you make eye contact with one another, are very simple in the moment tools, and how quickly you can shift the energy from this is not going the way we want it to, oh, here we are, like totally connected and devoted and committed to one another. So there's some real in the moment tools that you can use, because that's when it really matters. I mean, life is such that it is, and we really need to work within the reality that we have. And most people have a lot of things going on right now. So it's how do you sort of remember to just be present with what is, even with all the, sometimes chaos that's going on around us all.
No, that's awesome. And that was, it's funny, you'll appreciate this. We woke up this morning and Mike was like, we can't forget to look in each other's left eyes and do our breaths this morning. We didn't get to it yet, but we're going to. So he's listening.
He took the masculine lead. That's good.
He did, yes. Yeah. So that's, even just little tweaks, and since we're kind of just talking about it, since we're doing the couples call, but even just the little things like you were saying, when in the moment, when we get into an argument, I do try to say like, okay, let's cool down, let's do this, let's take a step back. And that's not, he doesn't hear me properly when I say that. And you gave me a little tweak to say, just to let him know, like, I got you, I love you, I'm not going anywhere, we're good, but we need to take a step back. Like, let's come back to this. And it's been just little tiny tweaks like that. Just like I saw him go, like, okay, he understood it when you said it. He didn't hear it when I said it a different way. And so just little things like that we sometimes just need that extra help to understand how to say things in the way that our kids or our spouse or someone else needs to hear.
Hmm. Yes, and usually it takes that neutral third party because there's so much love and emotion involved in relationships with your beloved husband and wife or your children that you show up with not ever wanting to hurt or disappoint that person. So sometimes when they're offering you feedback, it can be mistaken as they didn't get it right, and it can trigger a whole bunch of defenses. But a neutral third party can, just really bear witness to what's going on and offer truth into the situation in a way that is very connecting. Especially for a man to hear feedback from his woman, it feels like he's let her down, and that's the worst thing. And he won't show that because he'll be defensive, but that's what's happening on the inside, that they feel they didn't protect you, or they didn't hold you where they meant to. And really all you're trying to do is kind of keep the loving energy and the peace, but they're not taking it that way. It hits this very a young child place in them where they're being criticized, and that's not at all what's happening. But someone neutral can point that out. And once we become aware of where our own pain point is, or our own sort of wounds or patterns, and where the people we love are, we start responding differently. So like what you were saying about if I just tell him, babe, we're good, it's just, we got to get dinner on the table and everything, we'll come back to this, but we're good, I love you, we're good. That's exactly, his central nervous system can relax, because the wound or the fear is, something's not okay in your relationship, and that's most important to him. So the beauty of that is remembering that's what's most important to him. Above all else, he will fight for that. And that is the fight, right? Like, but we forget that we're in the fight, and we're forgetting what we're fighting for. We think we're fighting with each other, but we're not. We're fighting for a healthy relationship.
That's a really good point. And yeah, that's, I don't know how many of you have been there and felt that way, whether it's with your spouse or your kids or something. Drop a comment, drop a 1 in the comment, and tell me if you've been in that spot where you're in an argument, or you're in, this conflict with your spouse, and you're like, wait a minute, what are we fighting about? Like, what is happening? Like, we're on the same team, but your communication is just skewed a little bit. And so it's learning how to come back and communicate properly. One thing that was on our very first call, we had an aha moment, and it was just learning how to understand each other better, and looking at where the other person is coming from. We were talking about me, maybe being a little bit cold, and instead of being viewed as cold, neither of us had even thought about the fact where you were like, you listened to us and you said, you've been on your own, and you've been like in survival for so long, and you've been taking the lead for so long, it's hard for you to take a step back and let someone else take the lead. And so going through the things you said that night really made him take a step back and look at things and go, whoa, like, he almost understood me better.
Yeah, you could feel that part of him rise up that wanted to just protect you and take care of you, because you've been taking care of you for so long. And his masculine just rose right up and like wanted to just love you. And for me, sometimes it's energetically startling to hear someone describe themselves in a way that is so far from the truth of their soul, right? Because you are still like, look, you're glowing, you're so warm and loving, and you care so much about everyone. You're taking the time to, offer things that will help everyone grow, this forum alone. And so, for me, my heart just wants to connect to yours and show you like who you really are. Like you're far from cold. You would be more in the category of almost you care too much, in a good way, but you're the one that gets hurt from that, because you just care so deeply. And in that energetic, you've had to have you and your kids and everyone else, like you've had to keep everyone else provided for and okay. And you have to get used to letting Mike into that space, because, for a long time it was just you. But as soon as he realized, well, this is not personal. This is not that she doesn't want to let me in. It's just she's, kind of been on autopilot, having to do it this way for so long. So let me take over the wheel. Let me just, show her I've got her. And it's just really beautiful how quickly, like, it changed everything,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, That's what I love about this is we've been working with you now just for a very short time, like 2 weeks, and it's already made huge changes for us. And so that's part of why I wanted to be able to have this conversation in our group today, because I know that our group is very big on, being the healthiest version of yourself. And while we do center a lot of that around food and medicine and natural remedies, your emotional well-being, your connection to yourself, your connection to the people around you is just as important, if not than the food you're eating and the things you're putting into your body.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really excited for people to know about, I didn't know anything about this kind of thing until several really good friends of ours, they kept talking about this girl, Wendy. I had my call with Wendy today, and we talked about this. And the next one was like, oh my God, I had my call with Wendy 3 days ago, and we talked about this. And I was like, who is Wendy? Like, I need Wendy. And funny. So then, we connected to you, and it's been amazing for us. And so, I don't know. We kind of decided we were going to just let this kind of go wherever it goes. So I don't know if anyone watching has any questions. Or if there's anything you feel in your heart to share, or if you want to share anything more on your background or how you got into this, I'll kind of turn this over to you a little.
Sure. So yeah, if anyone has questions, we can get those answered, because that sometimes helps people right away. Just feel, you can feel the shift right away. Once you become aware of the energy, you flow with it, like you're not resisting it anymore. So that is one key change. And I too am into all of, like healthy food and juicing and all of those things that you can feel your vibration change from. But the truth is, energy is the baseline of all of it. So if you're impacting that, then everything else is working even better. And it's just really understanding your own personal GPS, because we all have things that really, fuel us and fire us up, and we want to align with those things that we know give us the nourishment we need to bring our best selves to the world. And then when we do that, every interaction we have, we're starting at a much higher level, so we have more space to be with someone who might be having a moment or a reaction, because we're nourished and we're full, and we understand what's going on. And as soon as you become more aware of your energy, it's like you see the world differently, and you understand if someone's having a moment, what's going on for them. And then all you want to do is meet them with love and compassion, because we all have been there. We've all been there. And I think we all probably can really remember being met and held there. We don't even necessarily remember the difficult things that have happened, but we more remember, who showed up to help us through it and how it worked. And if we were really to feel into that, it's just, being seen and loved and understood. Because there's this chemical reaction, the more energetic fields you get together. And so when you understand the impact your energy has on someone else and the impact their energy has on yours, you know how to work with it.
That's awesome. And it's so important. So you work with individuals, you work with couples, you work with kids?
Yes. Yeah, kids is a big one right now, especially because the world is very confusing to them right now, and everything that they used to, how they used to be in the world has shifted and changed. And they're also usually pretty sensitive. So they're feeling all the adults' angst and worry and concern, and we put on a brave face for them, but they are really tuned in. They know, and so they're feeling a lot of worry based on feeling other people's worry. So it really helps them to just really know themselves, and then be able to feel into what's going on, and know that that's valid and real, that they're not imagining it, that they have a deep feeling system through their senses that is there for a reason. So,
and we've gone through a little bit of that. And I'll ask you to explain a little more of how you said it to me, but, I have a 13-year-old, we're a blended family. You couldn't pay me enough money to be a 13-year-old girl in 2020. I would turn you down for millions of dollars. I would say no.
Yes.
But so I have this 13-year-old that's going through the normal stuff you go through when you're 13, but then she's part of a blended family. She's 13 in 2020. The world is upside down. She's doing virtual school, social media, all the things. And so we had you do a call with her, and some of the stuff you were saying, just even about how she is so open to energy, and I'll let you, if you don't mind sharing that, but just the things you shared with us, it almost helped her understand herself and some of the things she was feeling better.
Yes, she's very special, and she's very in tune with her own body's energy system that she didn't even really know that she was. So is it okay if I share something that she said in particular? Because I want to make sure that that's, contextually okay. It's something pretty simple, but it's different. Okay. So when we were praying together, and she closed her eyes, and I was sharing my experience of seeing color, like right here. She said, oh, well, I do that too. Like, that happens all the time to me. But she didn't realize, what that really was, and how really connected she is. And as soon as she could feel that, she just blossomed, and she pretended to resist a little bit, but then she's sending me her favorite music and texting me. And, she really responded to that deep connection that happened when I really saw her. Like, I just, and then reflected back to her what beauty I saw, and she's just, and in connecting to her energy, I could feel her creative force. And and just was asking her, well, do you draw and do you do art? And she's like, oh, I love that, but I haven't done it in a long time. And so she connected back to this really creative powerhouse that she really is, so it's really great. I mean, that for me is one of my favorite. I love working with couples. I really, really do, because to feel that energy when they sink back into that love is just so great. But working with children, especially that teenage, age right now, when they're really just holding so much, to see them find their hope again, and their passion for making a difference, that totally lights me up, to kind of, see them remember who they really are.
That's awesome. And that was actually that day when she was talking about, we had our eyes closed, and she was talking about seeing color. She told me she saw color, and she's like, well, everybody does. And I'm like, I don't. Yeah. I didn't see any of that when I closed my eyes. And she was like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And that's when she went back and messaged you, and you guys had that whole conversation. And I think it was cool for her to see that, like, because, at that age, they think, well, everybody does that, or she just has to say that to me, or,
right.
Because you, quote unquote, like, hired her to do these calls, she just has to, she's going to tell you what you want to hear. And so for me to say, honey, I don't see what you're seeing. I don't even know what that means, because I'm not seeing it. And then to hear from you that you see it too, she was kind of like, okay, wow, like, I am special, and I'm special in a way that mom's not. Like,
yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And when you're a younger child, like, or, just coming into your own, you don't really know. You think like, oh, okay, everybody sees out their eyes this way, or feels, on their skin that way. And once you start to realize everyone is unique, and we all have our own gifts, and when you embody your own, it really does change everything. But to your point of, that neutral third party, because, my own sons are the same way. Like, you're our mom, you have to, love us and think this, that, and the other. And it's like, actually, I can only and always tell the truth. Like, energetically, I have to, or else this gift will not be active, and I'm not willing to do that. And it's not serving anyone if I'm just not really offering energetic truth in the moment. It's just not serving anyone. So it's not always popular necessarily, but it just comes from this authentic place of just wanting people to live their best life. And so therefore, in the kindest translation possible, I will always offer it, because it changes people. It changes them at their core, and it reminds them who God created them to be, what their gifts are, and that the world needs those gifts now more than ever. Like, the truth is, we all need to just shine our light now more than ever.
That's amazing. That's so true, and I love that. Well, so we can have people help connect to you. I think you were going to put something out there for anyone in the group.
Yes. Yep. So whoever would like to, so you probably can find me on Facebook now that I'm tagged in the group. So you can private message me. And if you mention Brandy or this group, HH10, might be the easiest way to kind of connect into it. And if you want to schedule a time with me, you'll get 10% off. And already this very special group that came through, like Brandy was saying, a lot of women that she knows and trusts. Already there's special pricing within that group because so many of you have really, showed up to do this work. So already the pricing is good, but there'll be another 10% off if you just put HH10 for Healthy Hustlers 10, or you can mention Brandy, whatever's easiest. But you can find me on Facebook and private message me, or you could, I guess message Brandy and you could give them my contact information, whatever's probably the easiest if it just comes through a Facebook private message, so you're not overwhelmed with messages either. And we'll set a time to talk and connect into the energy and see what wants to come through for whoever it is at the time. Which is the amazing thing, is it's really in the moment truth. Like, I never know what it's going to be, but it's always very unique and very deep.
That's awesome. Well, I'm on my phone in the group, and so I just put HH10 in the comments of this video in the group. So that is in there, and then I will make sure that there is a direct link to you. Maybe I'll copy your profile link and put it in the comments. And if anyone does reach out, obviously I'll connect them, but I'll make sure it's super easy and it's in the live. And then I am recording this, so I will share the recording too, and anyone that's interested in coming back to watch it later or anything. But thank you so much. Mike and I are so excited to just continue this on with you, and I really do hope that some people do reach out. I know I've shared your info with a couple of people and shared some of our stories of our calls. If anyone's interested in a little bit more information about the calls we did before you reach out to Wendy, please feel free to message me and I'll share with you some stuff that I might not have even shared on here. But yeah, it's been life-changing for us. And, it's one of those things where, some people don't connect with any kind of counselor, spiritual counselor, people don't connect with someone unless something's broken. But Mike and I always look at it's a way to keep things from breaking. So I feel like, we're going to keep reading books and growing our minds personally. We're going to keep working on stuff. We do stuff to be a better blended family. Why wouldn't we do stuff to be a better couple, or, for ourselves, to be more connected to ourselves? So this isn't something where you have to be in a crisis to need what you do. This is something that, you could feel like life is going great. This could just make life even better.
Yeah, it's kind of like preventative medicine. Like, sometimes getting a massage just keeps your body healthy and happy, and this can have that same effect too. So if it would serve you in your community sometime too, if you want me to come back on, we could just do a whole questions. Like, people could just ask whatever they want and sort of feel into what that feels like to have someone energetically see you and offer you that opening. So that would be an option for another time too, if people want to do that. Sometimes just getting one question answered kind of tunes you in to what's possible. So I'm really just so grateful to you and to Mike for, your trust and for letting me, into your beautiful family and your beautiful lives, and just really grateful.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, and I would love, we could totally do a Q&A in the group. Well, I like the preventative medicine reference. You're vitamin C for our soul. That's what we're going to call you.
There you go.
Vitamin C for our body. You're like the vitamin C for our soul. So
vitamin C, right? You see the energy.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody wants to do, if you have any questions or anything, just drop it in the comments of this live in the group, and we'll connect it back and set something else up. But thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you, Brandy. Thanks everybody who tuned in or is going to tune in later, and so much love.
We'll see you
Bye.
soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.